The letter from the state medical board arrived on a Tuesday, and by Friday, I knew the name of every person who had conspired to end my career. I made sure they knew mine too. I had been a nurse practitioner for 9 years when that envelope landed in my mailbox. 9 years of 12-hour shifts, of holding trembling hands in exam rooms, of charting until my vision blurred. I worked at a family practice clinic in a mid-sized city in North Carolina, the kind of place where patients brought you cookies at Christmas and remembered your birthday. I was good at my job. Not because I was gifted, but because I cared more than was probably healthy, and I never cut corners. My license was spotless. My patient reviews were consistently among the highest in the practice. I had built something I was proud of, brick by brick, over nearly a decade. The only part of my life that didn't feel solid was the romantic side, which is how Ryan entered the picture. We met on a dating app in January. He was a financial advisor, charming in an easy way, the kind of man who always seemed to know what to say next. We went on 5 dates over 3 weeks. He was attentive. Almost too attentive, now that I think about it. He asked a lot of questions about my work, about how licensing worked, about what could get a provider in trouble. I thought he was just genuinely curious. I thought it was flattering that someone wanted to understand my world. By the 4th date, something felt slightly off, a vagueness about his own life that didn't match the specificity of his questions about mine. I ended things after the 5th date. It was gentle. I told him I didn't feel a strong enough connection. He took it well, or so I thought. The board complaint arrived 11 weeks later. I opened it, standing at my kitchen counter, still in scrubs, coffee going cold beside me. The letter informed me that a formal complaint had been filed by a patient named Danielle Morse, alleging that I had violated standard care protocols, made inappropriate comments during a clinical encounter, and prescribed medication without proper documentation. The complaint was detailed. It included specific dates, a specific medication name, and direct quotes attributed to me, quotes I had never spoken to a person I had never met. I read it 3 times. My hands were steady the first time and shaking by the 3rd. I sat down at the kitchen table and pulled up our electronic medical records on my laptop. I searched for Danielle Morse. She existed in our system. She had been seen at our clinic exactly once 5 months prior by one of the physicians, not by me. I had never treated her. I had never been in the same room with her. The dates listed in the complaint did not correspond to any visit she had made. The medication she claimed I prescribed was not in her chart, was not in my prescribing history, was not anywhere in any system, because it had never happened. The entire complaint was fabricated. But it was fabricated well. Whoever had written it understood just enough medical terminology to sound credible. They knew the name of a real medication. They knew enough about clinic workflow to make the timeline seem plausible on first glance. This was not a confused patient misremembering. This was engineered. I searched Danielle Morse on social media. It took me less than 4 minutes to find her Instagram, and less than 10 seconds after that to feel the floor tilt underneath me. In her profile photo, she was standing with her arm around Ryan. Her bio read his name with a heart emoji. They had been together since at least the previous November, which meant he had been with her the entire time he was dating me. The architecture of it became clear in an ugly rush. Ryan had dated me while in a relationship. When I ended things, he must have told Danielle some version of events that painted me as a threat. Maybe he told her I was a patient who had become obsessed with him. Maybe he told her I had done something medically inappropriate. Whatever the story was, it had been specific enough and convincing enough to make Danielle believe she needed to protect herself or punish me. She had filed a complaint with the state medical board against a woman she had never met, based on the story told to her by a man who lied to everyone. And that complaint, fabricated or not, would trigger a formal investigation. It would sit in my licensing file. It could restrict my ability to practice while under review. It could follow me for the rest of my career. I closed my laptop. I sat in the dark kitchen for a long time. I thought about every patient I had ever helped, every late night I had spent studying, every sacrifice I had made to build this career. And then I thought about a man I had gone on 5 dates with, casually weaponizing all of it, because I had the audacity to say no. I did not cry. I did not call anyone. I opened my laptop again, created a new folder on my desktop, and named it Evidence. The first thing I did was request my full prescribing history from the state pharmacy database. Every prescription I had ever written was logged electronically with timestamps, patient identifiers, and my DA number. I downloaded the complete record. Danielle Morse did not appear anywhere in it, not once. I then requested the clinic's scheduling records for the dates listed in the complaint. On 2 of the 3 dates Danielle claimed I had seen her, I was not even working. One was a Saturday. Our clinic is closed on Saturdays. I printed everything. I compiled a response to the board that was 32 pages long, including my prescribing logs, my work schedule, the clinic's access records showing I had not badged into the building on those dates, and a signed statement from our office manager confirming Danielle Morse had never been assigned to me as a patient. I submitted it within 9 days of receiving the complaint. But I was not finished. While waiting for the board to process my response, I began documenting Ryan's role. I pulled our text message history, which I had never deleted. In it, he had asked me multiple questions about my practice, my license, and specifically how board complaints worked. One message read, "So if someone filed a complaint, even if it was bogus, they would still have to investigate." Right? I had answered honestly at the time, thinking nothing of it. Now it read like a blueprint. I screenshot every message and added them to the folder. Next, I contacted Danielle directly, not to confront her. I sent a single, brief, carefully worded email through the contact address listed on her professional website. She was a real estate agent. I identified myself, stated that I had never met her or treated her, and asked if she would be willing to have a phone conversation. She did not respond for 6 days. When she finally replied, the email was hostile. She called me a predator. She said Ryan had told her everything I had done. She said I had tried to ruin their relationship and that filing the complaint was the least I could do to face consequences. I saved that email. It confirmed in writing that Ryan was the source of the complaint's content and that Danielle had filed it based entirely on his account. She had just handed me the one piece of evidence I had been missing. I filed a police report for filing a false report with a state licensing agency, which, in North Carolina, is a criminal misdemeanor. I included my 32 pages of evidence, Ryan's text messages, and Danielle's email. Then I contacted a healthcare attorney who sent a formal cease and desist letter to both Ryan and Danielle, putting them on notice that filing a knowingly false complaint with a medical licensing board constituted defamation per se, under state law, meaning I would not even need to prove damages. The letter informed them that I was prepared to pursue civil litigation. 2 weeks later, the board dismissed the complaint. The investigator told me it was one of the most thoroughly rebutted filings they had ever reviewed. They also referred the matter to their fraud division because the fabricated details suggested the complainant had knowingly submitted false information to a state agency. Danielle was contacted by the fraud division first. I was told later, through my attorney, that she had been uncooperative initially, insisting the complaint was legitimate. But when the investigator laid out the evidence, the prescribing logs, the scheduling records, the fact that I had not been in the building on the dates in question, her story collapsed in real time. She broke down and admitted Ryan had given her every detail in the complaint. He had told her I was his former nurse practitioner who had behaved inappropriately, and she had believed him completely. She had written the complaint in her own words, but every alleged fact had come from him. The fraud division referred Ryan's case to the district attorney's office. He was charged with conspiracy to file a false report. Danielle was charged with the filing itself, but was offered a diversion agreement in exchange for her full cooperation and testimony. My civil attorney filed the defamation suit against Ryan 3 days after the criminal charges were announced. His employer, a mid-tier financial advisory firm, launched an internal review when the suit became public. Within a month, he was terminated. Not for the lawsuit itself, but because the firm discovered during their review that he had been using client contact information for personal purposes, a violation he might have survived on its own if anyone had still been inclined to protect him. No one was. Ryan tried to contact me once, through a mutual acquaintance, asking if I would consider dropping the civil case. The message said he was sorry things had gotten out of hand. Out of hand. As if a formal investigation into my medical license was a situation that had simply escalated on its own, like a misunderstanding at a dinner party. I did not respond. The civil case settled 7 months later. The amount was significant enough to matter and small enough that I knew it had hurt him to pay it. The criminal case resulted in a plea deal, probation, and community service. It will remain on his record. Danielle completed her diversion program. I never spoke to her again, though I heard from a colleague that she had separated from Ryan shortly after the charges were filed. I do not know what version of events she believes now. I am not sure it matters. She filed a complaint designed to destroy my professional life based on the word of a man she should have questioned, and whether she was a victim of his manipulation or a willing participant in his revenge. The damage she was willing to inflict was real. The investigation is off my record. The board confirmed in writing that the complaint was dismissed as unfounded and that no disciplinary action was taken or warranted. My file is clean. My patients never knew any of it happened. I still work at the same clinic. I still stay late charting. I still care more than is probably healthy. But I keep every text message now, and I never answer casual questions about how licensing works. Some lessons only cost you once, if you are lucky enough to survive them.